Hey guys, welcome back to Airstream Beginner Basics Bootcamp. I'm your host Evan with Tacoma, and in this week's video we're going to be going over how do you get insurance for your Airstream? Is it legally required? What's the minimum? What's the maximum? How much are we paying? Stay tuned to the end of this video as I'm going to be going over all that information and more. You're not going to want to miss it. Did you just spend your entire life savings on a brand new Airstream? Dropped $100,000? How do you even buy an Airstream? How often do we gotta service these things? Are you scared to death that you're about to break it? Are you wondering what's the difference between payload and tongue weight, and does it even matter? How do I get insurance on this? Do I need total replacement, or should I just go with Geico? Do we drain the black tank first or the gray tank first? How do you even dump this thing? What is a black tank flush? What are those little pods we put down the toilet, and do they even make a difference? Do we really need a hitch lock? There's like 10 different Facebook groups. Which one do I even join? What do we need to buy immediately just so we can go camping? If you found yourself answering yes to any of those questions, this new series is for you. Welcome to Airstream Beginner Basics Bootcamp, where I'm gonna go over all the tips and tricks that I've learned in the last year and a half of owning a brand new Airstream, and I'm gonna give it to you straight, because I've got the whole book of secrets right here, and I'm ready to divulge all of them to you. And with that being said, welcome to Airstream Beginner Basic Bootcamp. I'm your host, Evan, with Tacoma, and we hope to see you out in your Airstream real soon. Okay guys, let's get into this week's episode. We're gonna start with how do you get insurance for your Airstream and what that journey looked like for us. We're gonna go over the fees that are associated with the insurance, what type of insurance I would recommend for your Airstream, what carrier I would recommend, and overall just what to look out for when insuring your Airstream. Let's start with some basics here. I'm not sponsored by any of these insurance companies. I'm not an insurance broker. I don't work in the insurance industry. This video is not sponsored by anyone. This has just been our personal journey with getting insurance for your Airstream and what you can expect. Of course, know that the rates that we got are probably gonna be different from the rates that you get. However, I think you will see a really big comparison with maybe state to state. We're gonna go over like what that looked like for us moving from the state of Texas and now living in the state of Washington, what those fees look like and what they are personally to us. Again, I had imagined that this is gonna vary, very differently for each person applying for insurance. I know that usually there's a credit check involved, or how long you've had insurance, or how old you are. So picture it, you just bought your Airstream, or you're in the planning phases of buying an Airstream, and the common question comes up of insurance. And usually this isn't really discussed at the dealership. They're kind of just assuming that you have to insure your Airstream. I've also met some campers that don't carry insurance on your Airstream. I think that's going to vary whichever state you're in. Every state we've always lived in does require you to have insurance on the trailer itself, not just the tow vehicle. And if you're new here, we are first-time RVers. We have a 2023 Airstream Bootcamp 20X that we bought almost 3 years ago. We bought the Airstream in Texas. We have insured and registered in the state of Texas. We then moved to Washington, and then we had to get new insurance and then re-registered the Airstream in Washington to get Washington plates. So we're also going to be going over how to register your Airstream in the next couple steps, but for this instance, let's talk about insurance. So this is a very common question that we have seen on the Facebook forums or that we get in our Instagram mailbox. Feel free to always shoot us a message on Instagram or YouTube, however you can communicate with us. We are happy to share this information as fast as possible. And you're in the buying phase of an Airstream. Everything is happening so fast, and you kind of get caught up in this circus of okay, we'll add that on, we'll pay for it, whatever it is. We have to have it, right? And with insurance, we've learned that it is a lot of research that needs to be done, and there wasn't a lot of information available. If you'll just go to the Facebook, I think the Bootcamp group, and just search insurance, there are hundreds of people asking the same question of how much are you paying for insurance? What's the best carrier? So again, let's get into it. We first got our insurance in Texas when we had the Bootcamp in Texas. That was about 2.5 years ago, and we decided to go with Progressive. We got multiple quotes from different insurance carriers. We already had Progressive auto insurance, so that was kind of already working in Progressive's favor. Also, the quotes that we were getting from Good Sam and from Geico and Liberty Mutual, they were all like $3,000 plus a year, which we kind of just found like insane. Again, like search the Facebook group, you can kind of see like, you know, different age demographics and like them telling their story about how much it's costing them. It just like wasn't making sense to us. We're in our mid 30s, like, you know, we don't have a history of being, you know, a lot of car accidents. Like it just, the math was not mathing. But again, like this is all new information. You don't really know what to expect because we've never owned an Airstream before. So we kind of were just going in blindly, doing a little research and then seeing what would pop out. So again, all the other insurance carriers except for Progressive were much more expensive than Progressive. So let's talk about Progressive insurance, what we currently have now, what we currently pay, what it covers. And we decided to go with Progressive insurance. There's a couple of reasons we decided to go with them. One being the price was cheaper. It was not the cheapest, however, it was cheaper than the Geico, Good Sam, and the other insurance, Liberty Mutual. So we ended up paying $1,900 a year for the quote-unquote full coverage insurance for our Airstream Bootcamp 2023 model. When we got the Airstream, it was year 2023, and we were applying for insurance in the year of 2022, so it was literally brand new. I say that because this is where it's going to come into play about how much it is and what type of insurance you can have with the carrier. So there is something that you want to look for called total loss replacement costs when you're looking for new insurance. Progressive is known to offer that to their customers. I can't say the same for Geico or Good Sam or the other insurance covers that we looked at. It looked to be like Progressive was one of the few that were offering it when we were doing our research. What is total loss replacement cost? Total loss replacement cost is the insurance carrier will cover the total loss of the trailer. So for example, if our new Airstream suddenly caught on fire, knock on wood, hoping that doesn't happen. However, if it did, when it was a total loss, Progressive would pay us however much we paid for the Airstream at the time, or they would completely find us a new 2025 Airstream Bootcamp to cover our 2023 Airstream Bootcamp that just burnt up. Again, this is a hypothetical situation. Our Airstream's fine, it's not in flames. So that's something very important that we wanted because, you know, we just spent $70,000 on a new Airstream. In the fact that it is totally damaged, a total loss, we wanted to protect our investment of that $70,000 or get a brand new one. So again, Progressive was one of the only insurance carriers that we were finding that were doing that. Again, do your own research, see what you find up with. However, that was very, very important for us, is having a carrier that would offer us total loss replacement. Make sure that that's covered in your insurance cover premiums because it's going to be very important to protect your investment. So again, we may have different goals. In this instance, this is really only for new Airstreams, you know, 5 years and younger. There is a caveat that I just looked at with Progressive and probably with, you know, another insurance carrier that's offering this type of coverage, is that the Airstream has to be new and it has to be no older than 5 years. So again, keep that in mind. This is really for when you're buying a new Airstream within the last 5 years or so. So again, Airstream total loss replacement cost. If your Airstream is completely damaged, that insurance carrier is going to cut you a check for the purchase price that you paid, or they will, you know, find you a brand new Airstream that was of similar value and totally replace it at no expense to you. So that was something very important to us, and that's why we went with Progressive. So hopefully you understand a little bit more about total loss replacement cost. Definitely make sure that that's something that your insurance carrier is offering. If not, you know, maybe we have different goals. My goal was to protect our asset. It's a $70,000 tin can. If something drastically happens to it, I wanted it to be covered. So again, with Progressive, we were paying about $2,000 a year in the state of Texas. Again, we didn't really have a benchmark here. We didn't, you know, there was a couple people in the forums that were discussing their prices. It did seem in line with about $2,000. I think $1,500 to $2,000 a year in Texas was about the going rate. Let us know in the comments below kind of what you're paying. I know this is kind of a taboo subject matter, but Again, this is for entertainment. Take it however you want. I'm sharing the personal journey here because none of this information was available to us when we were buying our Airstream. And I think it would be extremely helpful so that you can account for this in your budget. Because again, when you're at the dealership and you're adding on things and you're doing this, and it adds up very fast. We went with Progressive Insurance. That was with about a $500 deductible. And that was covering pretty much anything that would happen to the Airstream. It also covered roadside assistance. There's multiple different packages you can choose with Progressive. We bundled it with our home and auto insurance with the Progressive, so that helped discount the rate. But again, that was about $2,000 a year in the state of Texas. Texas is kind of, I'd say, a high-risk state to insure just because of the crazy weather. There's crazy hail damage. That's usually, it's very hot, it's dry, tornadoes. So I imagine all that plays a factor into the cost. And I say that because I now know on the other end of moving to a state with, I guess, a more milder climate, that it is drastically cheaper. And just to back up here about how to get insurance, it's almost the same exact process that you would for getting your auto or your home insurance. With Progressive, I really like because you can do it all online. You don't have to talk to any customer service agents. Fill out the quote online. Again, if you can bundle it, that's probably the best since you can be, with Progressive, they can give you a discount. But every place that I went to go get a quote was online, so apply everywhere, like get multiple quotes. I think we ended up getting 4 to 5 and compare, contrast, see which one will work for you, and go from there. And I will note that I do believe we had to have insurance, proof of insurance before we took the Airstream off the lot in Texas. So that was, we bought our Airstream brand new from DFW Airstream, and I had to bring a copy of the insurance that we had just purchased. All you need is a VIN number to purchase the insurance. So you're doing that before you actually show up to the dealership. So again, that's just some helpful information to know before you take delivery. Okay, so let's talk about what Progressive Insurance looks like in the state of Washington now that we have moved. So we were pleasantly surprised to find out that our premium has decreased a lot. So again, in Texas, we were paying almost about $2,000 a year for Airstream insurance. Once we moved to Washington, we're paying less than $500 a year. So that was a great surprise because if anyone's ever moved, it's just, the money just piles on all the time. And anything with Airstream, if you're new here, it does seem to add up pretty quickly, and everything that is associated with Airstream usually just means more money. So we were expecting to pay at least $2,000 or more. But we've been pleasantly surprised that we're only paying $500 a year for even better insurance. Just to wrap up the insurance section of this video, researched multiple insurance carriers. We went with Progressive. We've had Progressive now for 3 years. We've had it in the state of Texas. We were paying about $2,000 a year. We then moved to the state of Washington, and now we pay less than $500 a year for even better insurance. That's just to my point that it's gonna vary whatever state you're in, your demographic, if you're bundling, but I'm hoping that this will at least kind of set some benchmarks around, the parameters of price and what the journey looked like for us, and just some overall tips and tricks to know before you go and take possession of your Airstream. So again, reach out in the comments if you have any more questions about our insurance, what the process, look like even more. I can go as granular as you want. But again, I think the overall theme of the video is how much are we paying, how much to expect to pay, and what's the difference between the state of Texas and the state of Washington and all that. So just to wrap everything up here, guys, I hope you found this video informative. Again, it was something that wasn't available when I was registering the Airstream last year. Did a lot of research in the state of Washington and ultimately just had to go through the experience. So luckily I took notes, I collected all that, and now I'm just here to share the journey with you to hopefully make your registration process a little easier. Again, we covered what insurance carrier we have, what we recommend, how much we're paying for that. Again, that's gonna look different for whatever state you're in, but for example, Texas to Washington, I hope this video was useful. Stay tuned. I have a couple new Airstream Beginner Basic Bootcamp episodes coming out. And we hope to see you in the comments. If you need anything, please let us know. We're always happy to help. Stay tuned.